Welcome in, everyone, to show number 52. And if you know anything about calendars, you don't need to know a whole lot. 52, key number, that's 1 year. Big 1 year anniversary of Florida State Live right here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. And there's absolutely no way we could have pulled this out without Jason Parker, NBC6, Logan Robinson, Knoll Game Day, James Coleman, Big Game James, fifth quarter college football.
I thought we were dressing up.
It's been a year. I've known you guys for a year. I knew James reminded me, of course, last week. He is the original on MarkRogersTV college football. But congratulations, guys. We've made it a year. It's been great.
Who would have thought we would have made it a year without killing each other? I'm very proud of that fact right there. I'd also like to say I thought we were all dressing up. I thought we were supposed to dress up. But
this is me dressing up. I feel pretty dressed up. I feel pretty dressed up right now.
We're not supposed to wear Seminole clothes?
No.
Like when we were talking about dressing up, like, oh, it's like that.
You did.
When I wear a suit, I'm either burying an NFL team or somebody's getting buried. Like, I dress up on Sundays.
Then let's not bury anything today. Let's keep everyone alive today for at least 1 hour here with Mark Rogers TV. Let's clap it up. Little golf clap for Mark Rogers. He's been kicking butt and doing things for the last year for us. He's really helped our brand here. So we actually want to thank you, Mark, for all you have done to help us out and spread the word about the best team in college football, the Florida State Seminoles. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I would let everyone know that it was about, obviously, a little over a year ago that I thought we need a Florida State football show on my channel. I get a ton of response and feedback on Florida State content, but I need guys on here that really know what they're talking about.
And you got stuck with us.
I almost made the joke there. I was about to, Jason, but then I was going the high road, and I wasn't going to do that. I sent out an invite, and, of course, James Coleman was at the top of the list since James and I already knew each other, and I had already had him on dozens of times to talk FSU. But then I found these two, and I could not be happier about how it's gone for the last year. It's been amazing. You guys have been phenomenal. The response in the live chat is testament to you guys, and people call it the funnest hour they have all week.
And we can't wait for the phone calls later.
Oh, yes.
Well, that's going to happen. The Miami fans are still kind of got to get over their hangovers from yesterday, but they're going to call in soon. They usually get in the chat about 30 minutes into the show, so I'm excited to talk to a few of them.
Miami fans down here are at least reliving. ESPN last week showed the 2002 Miami-Florida State game, and Miami fans were actually live tweeting it like it was a real game. Members of the media, sports directors of various TV stations down here were actually live tweeting it because that's what Miami does. They lived in a football game that happened 18 years ago. So we're going to talk about the current 2020 Seminoles. We're not going to live in the past.
Florida State now front and center on the top shelf, as they should be.
Thank you.
I'm going to dive in the live chat. We're going to see who's talking football, but we want everyone to know that this is a special edition, in fact, because we are opening up the phone lines.
Oh, God.
And here we go.
Oh, shoot.
Wait, we're starting out? Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
What do you guys think? You guys ready or do we talk about the news of the day? We start with the news of the day?
Let's start with the news of the day. Let's
the news of the day. Poorly produced show by me thus far, but I'm just excited. We've got Mr. Perfect, number 52-0 at the top of the heap right there. Okay, let's get to it. So we've got news concerning Kevin Knowles first and foremost, Jason.
Yeah, Kevin Knowles, he's a three-star defense back from down here. Literally, his high school is 5 minutes away from my house here in the Hollywood, Pembroke Pines area. He went to Hollywood MacArthur High School as a three-star defensive back, same high school that produced Brian McFadden, who went on to great success at Florida State and later in the NFL, won a Super Bowl with Logan Steelers. He's a 5'10 defensive back, 168 pounds. He's a smaller guy. I actually had a chance to talk to his high school coach, who's now an assistant coach at one of the local colleges down here at Florida Memorial. And when he was talking about how they turned that school from they were one of the worst schools in Broward County to a school that went to the playoffs 2 years in a row, he specifically did mention Knowles as a guy who size-wise, he is a smaller guy, but he plays bigger than his size. And I think that goes back to what we have seen with the Norvell era so far in recruiting the 2020 class and now starting with 2021 is he wants guys who, to use a James Coleman, Big Games James term, He wants dogs. He wants guys who are going to go out there and play to that next level, who want to bring Florida State back. So I do like the move. It's another defensive back that Florida State's brought in. And like we've talked about before, as many secondary people who want to come to Tallahassee as possible, we will take them.
Do you know much about him, James? Kevin Knowles?
Yeah, I know a little bit about him. I mean, basically everything that Jason said is good. It's, you know, there. Some people may say he seems a step slower. He plays a little bit more physical than what his size dictates. And to be honest with you, in today's game, going up against the spread, he's a little longer. You're going to actually want him to fill in. So I guess you really want to have more corners than you do just bigger safeties, because at some point you're going to have almost 4 DBs out there on that field. It's better than not, just like we talked last week. But my biggest question, to quote one of my friends who trolls FSU, but he is an FSU fan, Grimes on Twitter, does he rush the passer or does he stop people from rushing the passer? Florida State has never had a problem getting DBs. And when I'm to hear that Florida State is turning down commitments, if I'm to believe the reputables, because people haven't been on campus, I just have to find out which ones are we turning down to accept 3 stars. Nothing wrong with a 3-star prospect. You actually need your team to be filled with those. But if we're turning away others, I'm just curious. Again, but this young man, I believe, is going to be well. And I want people who want to be Seminoles. And obviously, he wants to be a Seminole. So God bless. And I believe he'll develop into somebody who can actually contribute to our team.
And one thing about it, if I could jump in real quick, is he has actually been to Florida State. He's actually visited. We talked about Hunter Washington, who committed last week, who said he committed even though he hadn't visited FSU. Knowles has visited FSU several times. He was up there, I believe, in March, right before the whole pandemic started. He has 2 sisters who also attend Florida State. So this is a commitment. So, and any place Brian McFadden went, I will support right there. And seeing firsthand what his high school did, how he was a part of a team that was arguably one of the worst in Broward County to a playoff team, and you watch what he did. If he can play up to that potential his senior year and live up to the hype, I think he will be a great addition to the 2021 class.
Now, Jason, MacArthur is at the school that about a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, was making the announcements of a lot of the former NFL players were coming on to coach on the staff. I think Brian McFadden being one of them.
Yeah, they lost a bunch of their coaches who went to the college level. But basically what they did was their coaching staff that came from Booker T. Washington High School in Miami under Tim Ice Harris, and then they all went to Florida Memorial once Tim Ice Harris became the head coach there. So, yeah, they are breaking in a new coaching staff there. But judging so far from what we've seen, it's a coaching staff that will pretty much do the same plan as what their previous staff had done. So it's not going to be like he's going in with a huge difference. So pretty much what you've seen for the last 2 years is what you're going to see his senior year.
I think it's a guy that has a lot of offers from a lot of good teams: Alabama, Clemson, Florida, Georgia, Miami, and of course others. In his junior season, 25 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 6 interceptions. So I think the most cool thing about it is his last name is Knowles, so that'll work if he wants to do some marketing by that time. But a good pickup, and Florida State always brings in DBs, so it's like nothing new around here. It's just nothing new.
I see what you did there, Logan.
Is Logan the only one who picked up on that? Because I got to admit, I didn't.
See, I thought of Beyonce Knowles, but that was just me.
Well,
yeah, completely different. No, that's what I thought. Beyonce Knowles.
Logan. Props to Logan for thinking that up. But yeah, whenever I hear Knowles, it's going to be Beyonce. Sorry.
Beyonce. I mean,
recruiting numbers, 37th rated cornerback according to the 247 Sports Composite, number 515 in regards to all positions included, 76th rated prospect out of Florida at 5'10", 168, and a few pounds.
I think Logan hit the nail on the head there with what he said. This is a guy who turned down other schools like Alabama, like Clemson, like Florida, schools that had much better records over the last 2 seasons, much better resumes over the last 2 seasons, to go to a program in Florida State that's finished 5-7 and 6-7 the last 2 years, just like Hunter Washington turned down turned down offers from Texas, Ohio State, Oklahoma, schools like that to come to Florida State. So I think it shows, and I will give Mike Norvell credit, I will give the coaching staff credit, it does show they are building something. And I mean, we don't know, anything could happen, recruits can go anywhere at this point, but I think it shows something that you've got guys who are willing to be a part of the rebound of Florida State as opposed to going to an Ohio State or an Alabama and just being the next name.
There's you can think that way for sure all the time. I sometimes do get nervous, or I don't get nervous, but I'm also wondering in their head, are they thinking, I get more playing time at this school rather than the other top dogs? And that might be the case. If not, if he's ready to come compete and play with, I mean, he knows that FSU is going to bring in talented defensive backs. They might have not been developed the last couple of seasons, but he knows there's going to be talent here. So I agree, probably Jason here, that he knows there's going to be talent here. If he's on come, he's going to have to compete and get a starting job. So, but yeah, once again, Florida State, it's a defensive back. I feel like that's every week. I mean, now.
We appreciate all the usuals in the live chat. Scott Davis, Wayne Tillman, John Sarian, Kyle Pickett, of course, with the obligatory vice presidential campaign banner.
Stop it
right there. And there we go. Kevin Knowles in the fold. Has committed to Florida State this week. Of course, this program has needed nothing more than to gain offensive linemen and not lose them, but offensive guard Christian Meadows medically disqualified. Who wants to take this one first?
Wait, he played football?
Christian Meadows was basically the medical DQ before he even came.
Yeah.
Like, he was one of the guys that, you know, I guess he got the offer. They found out he tore his ACL, he got injured, and they honored it. And you know, if he got here and things worked out, it'd be great. But it obviously didn't. So, you know, the great thing about the medical DQ is that he doesn't count against the 85, so that opens up another scholarship, and he gets the opportunity to continue his education for the next. I believe he gets you get 5. So. However much education he can finalize or finish during that time, he gets a chance to improve his life. So I'm 100% for it, and God bless. But a lot of this stuff is possibly addition by subtraction. And what you got to do is you just got to really continue to push in this transfer market. There's a left tackle from Houston who we are kind of in the running for. Whether don't know really what when I read the different reports, but obviously now we have a slot that's open for him if he's to choose to come, or it just gives you another opportunity. And actually, even if that guy comes, it still gives you another opportunity to recruit another prep offensive lineman in this upcoming class.
The reason why it doesn't bother me is the depth factor, because with Meadows being gone, there are still 13 offensive linemen on the roster at this point at offensive line. So it's a 2-deep spot right now. You know, like we talked about, as much as the secondary needs help on defense, the offensive line needs help on the offense. So as long as there's a decent amount of people to select from to put together 5 guys that hopefully can play consistently over the course of the season, I'm fine with it. And you know, not to be a smartass to Christian, God bless him. Hope he stays in Tallahassee. Hope he gets his degree from Florida State. But this wasn't a total shot. This was more of a,
not at all.
I guess, when is it going to happen? When will the inevitable eventually happen?
Okay. Yeah. He was a 4-star coming out of high school in the 2018 class, so certainly a good prospect.
Bad things happen to good guys. I mean, it's nothing he did wrong. He was just, he had an ACL tear, and this is what happens.
I mean, like a guy who I came in with was actually played fullback with me. A guy named Torrance Washington, and it benefited me, unfortunately for Torrance. But Torrance tore his MCL his freshman year, and MCL is nowhere near as damaging as your ACL and things like that, what people normally consider. But he never was able to recover from that, and he got medically DQ'd. So it's just different people adapt to injuries in different manners, and I just think that's kind of what ended up happening to him. And that's why you take a kid like that. Like you said, Mark, he was a pretty good prospect. He did have upside if he was able to get over the injury, but that's the thing that you can never predict, which is why you always have to heavily recruit the trenches. And for some reason, since 2017, we just have really dropped the ball. 2016, we really dropped the ball in recruiting the trenches, and now you're behind. The good thing is we got some guys who had some 3-stars who developed last year, who ended up playing later. And you got some guys that are coming in, and hopefully Alex Atkins can do some wonders and put these guys together and get them competent and playing on physical.
James, can I ask a quick question? Why do you think that is? Because you're talking about, you said since 2016, you're talking about 2 different head coaches, 3 different offensive line coaches at that position. What do you think? You're a guy with the inside the program. Talk about what you think happened with recruiting the offensive line, both who they recruited and what do you think changed?
Oh, I mean, I'll go from. I mean, it wasn't a priority, and I'll give to Jimbo's credit, and you guys who follow recruiting would probably know it a little bit more than me. But I want to say 2014 is when we brought in a ton of offensive linemen. And we brought in some JUCO guys. And then I think that next year we brought in 1. And then every other year after that, it was, maybe 2 or 3. But when you look at the guys who are consistently good from a recruiting standpoint across the nation, when you look at what Clemson's been able to do, when you look at what Alabama's been able to do, Georgia, Ohio State, and yes, we can talk about the 5 stars, but let's talk about their ascent to doing that. They're recruiting 5 or more offensive linemen every year. No matter what, every year they're bringing in 5 offensive linemen. Even Texas A&M, where Jimbo went, they had recruited 5 offensive linemen, even if they were just 3 stars. They brought in 5 linemen. The reason why you're doing that is A, it creates depth. B, you get some guys. If you're doing it enough, you get an opportunity to bring some guys along, and maybe they'll prosper or develop. And then C, it creates competition. So when you mess up, I can pull you and I can put somebody else in. And hopefully over time, that person that I'm putting in is a redshirt sophomore, a redshirt junior, as opposed to a true freshman. And I don't have as much drop-off. Even in Clemson's last national championship run, or when they won it, they had 3 starters on their offensive line that were 3 stars. But they all had opportunities to develop and get better. Now, when you come back to FSU, yes, we have 4 stars. Yes, we have other guys. But the reality is none of them developed and became good. And now you're sitting in a situation where you got guys either decide to quit and join a frat and then come back later on after they've lost 30, 40 pounds. You got guys who decide to become a damn mechanic. You got guys who just get injured or whatever. And then so you have this culture where now it looks bad. Now what happens is FSU cannibalizes itself when it comes in terms of offensive line. I go back, I always tell people the greatest thing in social media is Facebook on this day app. Facebook on this day app will tell you exactly what you were saying on that day up to 10 years ago. Actually, sometimes up to 15 years ago. And I have been complaining about FSU's offensive line since the 2014 season. The problem is everybody in FSU social media, all we did since the last days of Jimbo, through Taggart era or with Fry, with Clemens, hopefully we'll stop doing it with Atkins, is how bad the offensive line is. But what happens is you spoke that into existence, and we did. While we're talking about how bad our offensive line is, and it never seems like it was good at any given time, even though some of the best offensive linemen to ever play in the NFL don the garden and gold, what do we always talk about and what are we known for? And what can we close our eyes, throw a dart at the map and get? DBU, DBU. Well, we're now in a situation where all we're known for is DBs. We're not known for offensive line, even though when you look at the offensive line graphic, it's a who's who of who's been drafted. Same thing with running backs. Same thing with wide receivers. It's a lot of stuff that we not only is the coaches are having a damn hard time getting them, but we're doing a damn bad job as not just fans, because the fans only regurgitate what the beat and what the people who actually talk about it say. And what we've done is continue to say, we suck here. There's no hope here. And why would I want to go play there when I can go to Georgia and get developed? When I can go to Clemson and get developed. It's a difference in terminology, phrasing, and the way that people go about it. But I do like the organization that and the way that Atkins and those guys are going about it. The problem is it's just not fast enough. And unfortunately for them, it might not ever be fast enough because all the good offensive line talent that you kind of need to come in and play day one, well, they're kind of committing to other places. And it's a lot harder to flip somebody than it is to actually develop the relationship.
I do like to also welcome the Miami fans with such great comments as FSU Week. That was solid Canes for life. I'm glad you spent 19 minutes thinking of how to write FSU week on a board. That was great, Canes for Life.
At least it's spelled correctly.
It is. For a Miami fan, that is impressive. FSU and week are both spelled correctly, so that's great. Logan, quick question for you. Now that we've talked about the last couple of weeks, they've addressed the secondary issue. Where do you want to see Florida State go with recruiting from here? What's the next area you think they need to address in the 2021 class?
Most likely, I mean, defensive end, got to build some more depth around there. Offensive tackle, I think, is going to have to happen once football is played and they see that there's a better team and hopefully better coaching staff on the field. But it's still got to be offensive line. I mean, you got some pretty talented quarterbacks. There are now some young ones that just came in that you're going to want to protect. And offensive tackle. Offensive line is going to have to be one of your biggest focuses. Defensive end has got to build in depth in a lot of ways. Other than that, I mean, those two positions seem to be the biggest need. There are young linebackers. I know a lot of the last couple of seasons there's been a lot of complaints, and obviously there should be. I mean, there was a lot of bad play there for a good while. But I think you have a lot of young guys there that are hungry. They're under a really well-respected young coach with Chris Marp, and I think they're going to be developed well. And I'm not too worried about that linebacker spot anymore. So offensive line, I think, is going to have to happen after you get some play in going into a few months into the season. And then defensive end's got to build depth around there. And I think right now we actually Florida State just got put into a top 5 with Raheem Sanders. He just put something out about 5 minutes ago. He's a 3-star. His nickname is Rocket. He's fast as hell, 6'2", 210. He's a 2021 class. I believe who he is from. Let me see. Arkansas.
Okay.
From Rockledge. Oh, no. I'm lying. Rockledge, Florida.
You're right near Arkansas. Right near the border.
Let me see. I'm trying to see who we put in this top 6. I know. All right, here we go. Our top 5. He's got Arkansas, Florida State, Missouri, Oklahoma, and South Carolina. And a lot of people are saying it's between Florida State and Oklahoma here. So something to keep an eye on for sure. Let's see. But his nickname's Rocket, so probably would beat me in a race. Maybe.
The nickname has worked out for others.
Slightly.
So it's a good one.
It is.
Better that than Toast if he's going to play in the secondary.
Yeah, no joke.
Now, we also had a bit of good news this week. Now, after Logan last week was freaking out about the state of
I was nervous.
You were nervous. Mark, what do you got for us from the state of Florida?
What do I have? What do you have, Jason? You're in the forefront of all the news.
This is true. No, the state of Florida, so basically what's going to happen is in the next week, the state university system is going to be meeting on May 28th, and they've told all the schools they want a plan in place for opening in the fall. And this is, once again, let's all calm down. Doesn't mean we are definitely going to have football. It doesn't mean everything's going on, but it's a very good positive step. And that's what we've talked about before, is you have to have an open school before you can even think about having a football season. So they want a plan in place by May 28th for each school to what they're going to do, how things are going to go, how things are going to operate, and then they will vote in the beginning of June. I think right now this is going to be the big question is now that we've all opened up, now that Miami-Dade and Broward County have opened up this week, things have been expanded this week as far as restaurants and retail stores can have 50% instead of 25%. It's now going to be the question of what are we going to see in the next month? Will numbers rise like they did in Texas after Texas opened up? If things can stay where they are right now, I mean, we are going to still have deaths. We're still going to have people positive testing. If they stay at the numbers we're at right now, I think we're going to be okay. I think we will have football. We just can't have a spike. That's where we need to go. But right now, it's a very good positive first step for Logan. That way he can avoid drinking himself to sleep.
Depends on which numbers you look at, though. Like, I mean, we got a little controversy coming on here in Florida. If nothing else, politics will always muddy the waters. But I talked to you guys about this last week. That I'm telling you, football is going to be played unless like a zombie apocalypse type proportions happens with this thing going on, and it's because it's really the only thing that matters in America is the bottom line. And a lot of these smaller areas, and I would say smaller, like especially Tallahassee and Gainesville, center around having college football. Tallahassee having the benefit of FAMU as well as Florida State. The hotel industry literally thrives on that, as well as Gainesville literally centers around the University of Florida and what they kind of do there. Miami, everywhere else, the other bigger cities will probably be okay, but will take a major hit. But I know Governor DeSantis and in Florida, Governor Kemp, a lot of the other guys, they're trying to one up each other. And when you look at what I think Governor Abbott did in Texas, where he literally said May 31st, the entire state's open for anything. Camps, overnight camps, whatever you want to do. Basically, Texas is going to do it. So what has to happen is, like, everybody's going to take the risk. I think because the people have spoken right now, even though, whatever, again, people have spoken saying that they would rather do something than be at home doing nothing. They'll take the risk. So,
and I think a lot of people, James hit the nail right there on the head. The two biggest public universities in the state of Florida, Florida State University and the University of Florida, are in the two smallest cities. FIU is in Miami. FAU is in Boca Raton, which is a huge. It's right near West Palm Beach. For those who don't know much about the state of Florida, it's right near West Palm Beach. It's a big business area as far as there's a lot of money in that area. UCF's in Orlando. USF is in Tampa. FAMU and FSU are in Tallahassee. Florida's in Gainesville. And even Bethune-Cookman is in Daytona Beach, which is still a tourism area. It's close enough to Orlando, close enough to Jacksonville. People can go do things, or people just go to the beach and drink. And we've hit this nail on the head before. If football is not played, FSU is screwed. If football is not played, the University of Florida is screwed. There's just no other way around it. So I do think there will be football. The question is going to be, are they going to do like what the Miami Dolphins have said down here about how there's a plan in place where they would only allow 15,000 fans into the games? Would they do something like that at Florida State? Would they do something like that at Florida? How would this go? That's why it's a good positive first step that they're in the process of planning a possible fall school calendar. From there, it's the baby steps of can football be a part of that next step.
We appreciate the two super chats that have come in. Keep in mind, we're here every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time for Florida State football talk. Yes, Jason does love balloons, but there's actually a reason and why he is in full decor right there. And as somebody mentioned in the live chat, They were wondering about the tie. That is clearly a Florida State tie. They were reaching for the Georgia Tech joke, but it doesn't even come close.
I actually owned a Georgia Tech hat because my high school, we stole the yellow jacket from them.
But is the dress yellow or blue? Is it coming in a different color or something?
We were yellow and black, but we would steal everything from Georgia Tech because we weren't rich enough. So
no, I meant the joke of whoever the person was, because that clearly looks like but I have glasses on.
It's garnet.
It clearly looks like a garnet and gold tie.
Yeah, they could have went with somebody else more easily. USC, somebody else.
Yeah. You would have to be Logan. You would have to be Logan Matty light drunk to not think that this is a garnet and gold tie. But you know what? We've got special people here.
I believe that was SEC Dog, who loves to take his shots at JG. Back and forth.
That's exactly.
It's probably. I just wonder if SEC Dog was alive last time.
That's why we're getting close to calls, right? Is that we've already done the news of the week here? We need to time to get some people in here.
Folks, of course, we will take your comments and questions in the live chat. As always, I'm scanning the live chat. We've got 2 super chats come in, and I will get those to the screen. Thank you so much for the contribution. But in addition to that, what Logan is alluding to is it's call-in Tuesday night on the 1-year anniversary. So let me get the number out there. We've actually had 3 calls come in, but upon Jason's direction, I put them off. We didn't answer them. We got through the news of the day. There we go. 860-325-3687. And while we're awaiting a call, we just got a question concerning Jordan Travis.
Can we just say, when you call, please give us your name, where you're from, and what school you root for, so that we know what school you root for so that we can make fun of it. Jordan Travis should not
Jason, I've done this before.
No, I'm letting our viewers
capable of taking the phone calls. Thank you.
Our viewers are a little bit slower sometimes. That's fine. We'll let them go. We're going to let this one happen.
Well, you're talking mainly to the Miami fans. That's what you're doing, Jason, right?
Jordan Travis should not be the starting quarterback. And I like Jordan Travis. He's a South Florida guy, so of course I'm going to be a little bit more biased towards him. So is James Blackman, of course, being from Palm Beach County. Jordan Travis has not shown he should be the starting quarterback. We've talked about this multiple times. Jordan Travis has not thrown the ball enough to prove he could be a consistent starting quarterback for Florida State. Running the ball, absolutely. He last season was a lot like what, I hate to use this comparison, in a way similar to a Tim Tebow in 2006. Chris Leak was the reason Florida won the national title that season. Tim Tebow would come in, do a couple sexy plays, and he won.
The call will start at the beep.
Here we go. It's Mark Rogers, the voice of college football on our Florida State Seminoles live show. Who do we got on the line?
I'll pick it.
Kyle.
Hold on, Kyle.
You're calling first.
Kyle, are
That's
you
right.
calling us from a correctional facility?
Tremendous.
Kyle, where are you from, Kyle?
Florida, down here in the Panhandle.
Wait a
Okay.
minute, hold on.
And
Nobody else is curious. Like, Mark, you got to warn. Is that how it sounds? Because that sounded like when one of my cousins has called me and I have to tell him if I want to pay collector.
I got it. James and I were cousins, but we ain't cousins.
Kyle, we will accept the charge.
We've got a little call buffer. He doesn't know my number. I don't know his number. It comes to a neutral number. We've got this all worked out.
We'll accept this charges. Kyle is a loyal viewer. Kyle, we appreciate your support. Who is your team you support? Who is your number one squad?
Hey, I'm a Florida State alumni and grad. Always will be a diehard Florida State fan. And I just wanted to call in and give y'all, props for making it 1 year. Jason, congratulations.
Thank you, buddy.
I'm going to get back off the phone and let y'all continue the show.
Kyle,
Thank you, Kyle. We appreciate it.
Or after 52 weeks. You're probably up there near 52 yourself.
I'm probably in the mid-40s. I haven't got every week. I mean, I had to go have surgery and stuff like that, so I'm still recovering, so I know I missed a couple.
Doing well.
Kyle, would you really vote for Mark?
Oh, yeah, doing great, man. Doing great.
Would you really vote for Mark?
Appreciate it. It's hard to hear Jason and them talking. I don't know what
It doesn't matter, Kyle.
Hey.
That's okay. Kyle,
But like I said, I'm going to get off the phone and let you get another call in. I appreciate what y'all do, and much support, and good luck to y'all.
thank you so much. We'll have a campaign strategy session this week.
Jesus.
All right, no problem.
There we go. Kyle Pickett, right out of the gate, always lined up to give a comment, push the vice presidential candidate, and talk Florida State football. Florida State graduate. Aren't you happy to know that, Jason?
But you know what else you should push? You should also push that like button. And while we wait for the next caller, Logan's going to tell you why you should hit the like button.
You should just smack down. We have a 1 year special, and what do we have here? Only 45 likes. Actually, isn't that bad. I'm actually kind of stunned by that. I think we can get to 70 likes, 60 likes, or whatever before this is over. We're probably going to get a little bit of extra time tonight, hopefully, if Mark will let us. But let's get this thing to like 70 likes. It helps out Mark. It helps out the show. It spreads it out to more people. Also, if you're on Facebook too, hit that share button. We have 38 shares I'm looking at right now on this screen. And if we hit that share button, more of your friends will join. And maybe we can have more people on Facebook and YouTube. And it just keeps on spreading where we just keep on annoying people with the show.
If no one else is aware,
keep it on.
I'm keeping it on. All right, keep it on.
We usually do this at the end of the show, but I think since we got more people on the line and people tend to be able to tell when we're signing off, I would like all of you to let people know where you are because they can follow your content elsewhere. So, Logan, you're first up.
I am from NoleGameDay.com. We're here from Tallahassee, local. We're kind of a younger little outlet, and we've been covering Florida State since 2013. We have a podcast, and we try to bring on guests on there a couple times a month. And then we have writers, designers, but that's pretty much me, just NoleGaming.com. Go check out some stuff there. We got a lot of recruiting going on with our guy, Nate Greer. And yeah.
We'll get up James and Jason right after our next phone call coming in here. You're at the Florida State Seminoles Live. Who's on the line?
This is Scott Davis. I'm an avid follower of your program,
You sure
and
are.
I just wanted to contribute some information and about the starting quarterback position. I believe that James Blackman has had his chance, even though our offensive line was total horse crap. And we just have better options this year. I can't believe that Norville would start Blackman over Travis. We got Roadmaker. We got Purdy coming in, which I believe is the future of the quarterback position for the Knowles future. And I just didn't know what you guys thought about that assumption. Your opinions.
Thank you, Scott.
Take it away, boys. That's why I got the experts here.
Jason, do you want to go?
Listen, I do agree with Scott. I think James Blackman has had his chance. I'm not a huge James Blackman fan like I was, but I give him credit for what he did in 2017. He was thrown into the fire as an 18-year-old freshman. I give him credit for what he did there. I think he has had plenty of chances, more than a lot of other FSU quarterbacks. I guess my thing is that, with all due respect, has Jordan Travis shown he can throw the ball? Has Jordan Travis shown he can be more than just I can run the ball around the end quarterback? And I think Jordan Travis, if Jordan Travis could show that he could throw the ball, which I was hoping to see in the spring, and maybe if he does it in the fall, I would be more than willing to give Jordan Travis a shot. I don't want to start Tate Roadmaker. I don't want to start Chuba Purdy. I don't think you start a true freshman right away. I do agree that they are the future, but I think their future is waiting, 2 years at least before they can definitely get that starting quarterback spot.
So we'll definitely have James and Logan comment on that. But as James is going to comment on
that,
I've got a question for James as well that also talks to the quarterback position. And I don't remember the quarterbacks in play when you were there, James, but as soon as you spit out the names, I was right there watching you guys play. But is it more difficult when you've got two quarterbacks with such different styles? If you're in the middle of August camp and the offensive staff is trying to determine who the starting quarterback is, because I'm just thinking back to watching Travis play and Blackman in the bowl game, and the approach was so different. The play calling was so different with each quarterback in play. It obviously is
kind of online here.
to make that decision in August camp, as opposed to having two quarterbacks that are just like both pro-style quarterbacks, for example.
I believe if Travis could throw the ball, it's a much better option. He's got the legs. If he could throw, got less turnovers, you got less chances he takes. Blackman has no touch. He overthrows the ball. On long passes, he can't throw a 5-yard screen without throwing it through the guy's hands. It's ridiculous. But I appreciate you guys. I know I'm online. I'm kind of searching probably on the quarterback situation, but I think the quarterback is the leader of the team. I think it takes an offensive line. But Blackman's had his chance, and I think that even with a weak offensive line, we have better options.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate the support, man.
I've dealt with the quarterback controversy when I was playing all 4 of my years, except for one. My freshman year, Rick started half of the year. Then Adrian McPherson came in and started a couple games before he got into some trouble. My sophomore year, Chris started the whole year. My junior year, Chris started most of the year. Wyatt played. Then Wyatt got benched, and then Chris almost led us back to beat Florida, and then we won in the bowl game against West Virginia. And my senior year was Drew Weatherford and Xavier Lee both competing as freshmen because Wyatt had to unfortunately no longer be on the team. And let me tell again, I have one of the unique perspectives, I guess, in all of the people who cover it. I'm a fan first, even though I cover all college football, but I played college football. And it's not like NCAA 2014. I got news for you guys. And there are guys who come in and play as true freshmen at quarterback. My first game that I ever played was the 2002 ESPN Classic game against Miami. I traveled to Maryland that year. I traveled to Louisville. I watched the Clemson game, and then I played in Miami. I believe that's the order, something like that. When I got on that field against Miami, if anybody's ever seen Any Given Sunday when Jamie Foxx first got on the field and all he saw was blurs, all I saw were blurs. And my goal was I just want to run full speed and try to catch one of the blurs. The game is so much faster than anything that you'll ever see in high school. Like, you're talking about a concentration of the best athletes in the nation in one spot. And and if you're lucky enough to come in a spring, you're talking about 15 practices, probably another 15 practices in the fall with 0 game experience. You're trying to sell me that you're going to trot out. You believe that you're going to trot out an 18-year-old boy to go play against grown-ass men. You obviously have no idea about how violent or physical or fast this game is played. And it's not that it can't happen. It's just not optimal. Why are we talking bad about James Blackman? I'll tell you why we're talking bad about James Blackman. Because we retarded his growth. We threw him in there when he wasn't supposed to be in there, and he never got an opportunity to grow in a comfortable manner into that position. So if Mike Norvell is thinking about long-term, it'd have to go really bad for him to put Purdy or Rodemaker in there. And we're in a really, really rough situation if those are the guys who have to come out the gate playing. And Jordan Travis is the one who I want to play. He looked really good in the spring game, but when I watched him against Boston College, I watched a guy who couldn't throw the ball further than 10 yards. And I'm sorry, in college football, you have to have the threat of the deep ball. And there's only one person right now who actually does give you that, and you have to coach him up. If you don't believe James Blackman is good with his touch, he's not good at throwing screens. He overthrows the deep ball. He's not good with his intermediate throws. Well, that falls down to the quarterback coach. His quarterback coach has been Walt Bell, and his quarterback coach has been Kendall Browse. If you can't make a read, that's on your coach, no matter who calls the plays. Every play in college football was designed to score on offense. There's not a play that wasn't designed to score. So if it doesn't work, it's a lack of execution, and you have to figure out who is coordinating the system. If I'm to believe everything that I have researched and been told about Coach Norvell is a better play caller, and Dillingham is a better coordinator. So the offense should look more coordinated, and they should have better things. And it should be more than just – and when we talk about screen games, there are so many other things. Like, I'll bring up Chris Ricks again. If you go back and you're enjoying all of these games that are being showed and you're seeing how close we were and a lot of this stuff was happening, Chris was the exact same way. Chris had no touch throwing the ball to a back. I know I had to play against North Carolina State where I had to catch 3 passes with a broken hand with a guy who throws the ball like it's a 100-mile-per-hour fastball. That's painful. I've also seen him overthrow guys and underthrow guys, but when he's on point, is does he give you the best chance to win games? Blackman and all of his flaws last year were a 4-minute offensive drive against Boise State from winning. We're a 4-minute offensive drive from Virginia from winning. We're a 4-minute offensive drive from Wake Forest from winning. So all his flaws, is he a national championship winning quarterback? Probably not. Is he a 9 to 10 transition year quarterback? I personally believe why you allow Purdy or Rodemaker to get their 4 games in, red shirt, and be up so they can get some live reps if possible. But I also don't believe the future of Florida State's quarterback is even on the roster right now, because Mike Norvell got those 2 guys in a transition class. After a year or 2 of actually doing it the way that he wants to do it, you can't tell me that there's probably not another guy that he has an eye on. That, or if we get a 5-star, we get somebody else. The key is can the people around whoever the quarterback is elevate their game to a level in which you can win games? And I'm glad you brought that up, Mark. What I'm thinking about is, can Tamarind Terry be a true FSU great that everybody's giving him this? Can he be Anquan Bolden, who can get open whenever the hell it is that he wants to get open and dominate a game? Can he be Crow Thorpe when he breaks the school record against Notre Dame? Can he be PK Sam? Again, these are the pieces that you got to figure out. Can we have a running back that can be Cam Akers light? Or be what Norvell's had at Memphis? Again, when you don't have what you need in one spot, you got to get it from somewhere else. And I don't agree with this myth that the media makes the quarterback the leader of the team. The quarterback is the person who calls the plays. I remember there's a lot more guys that I feared than the quarterback, or that I listen to other than the quarterback. The quarterback's job is to execute. But if you got a ton of leaders and alpha males who want to make it to the NFL, then you should be all right, because we have some talent there. And even if the offensive line, if we're making better reads, the offensive line looks a lot better.
If I can just jump in here for one quick second, James hit the nail on the head, and there's something that a lot of the FSU fans who tend to live in the past, live in the dynasty era, seem to forget, is that the quarterbacks didn't start until they were either juniors or redshirt juniors. You played 2 years as a starting quarterback, and then that was your time. Look at the freshmen or redshirt freshmen who have started for Florida State. Chris Ricks only did it in 2001 because there was no other option. Same thing with Weatherford in 2005. The reason he started against Miami is because Wyatt Sexton got kicked off because he thought he was God in the middle of the Tallahassee street. The reason is, E.J. Manuel in 2009 was because Christian Ponder broke his arm. And James Blackman in 2017 was because DeAndre Francois got his knee completely torn up. Those were out of necessity. Those were the only reason freshmen started. The idea that everything, and James said exactly what I've been saying, the idea that everyone thinks it's just like a video game and it's so easy to just put in a freshman and start right away. If you think that starting Chuba Purdy or Tate Rodemaker in Mercedes-Benz Stadium against West Virginia is the smartest thing Florida State can do, you are out of your damn mind. James Blackman, for all his flaws, is a much better option to start that game than either of those true freshmen. That's not saying that they can't be great quarterbacks, but right now, it's insane to think otherwise.
I'll say this though: if the running game is light years ahead and transform, then you can play a younger quarterback. Anytime when you've seen a true freshman or a really young quarterback play, that means the defense is really, really established and doing very well. The running game is really, really good, and now teams have to simplify their coverage because they have to worry about the running game. But again, that's something that I can't intelligently. I can only kind of tell you based on experience. I can't really intelligently speak on it because we had 2 practices, and unlike a lot of people, I'm not going to give you a huge put myself on a ledge when I've only seen 2 practices and none of them were in pads. So it's a lot of question marks. So again, I believe Norvell his strength is in the X's and O's. And I think if he can make Blackman serviceable, and that's the other thing we got to realize. Blackman really has 2 more years. He's really not something that you don't have to throw him away, but he isn't his guy. And I can 100% understand where fans are going through. But a lot of it too, I also believe the play calls weren't really that great.
I wonder why
James, a freshman quarterback starting is not a good situation typically unless one of 2 things exists. Either he is a once in a
phenom,
a Trevor Lawrence phenom, or he just has a situation where he plays at a school like Wisconsin. They lean on the run. He's going to throw it 16 or 17 times, and he's really good, and he's shown a grasp of the offense because we do see maybe 5 to 10 freshman quarterbacks succeed to some degree every year.
Right, but then think about this. Think about all the outside of Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields redshirted.
Jake Fromm.
Think about all the freshman quarterbacks during your time, Mark, of watching football, who have always come on board and they've thrived, and we give them a bunch of pressure, not a bunch of pressure, a bunch of accolades because they took a team and they went 7-6 or they went 8-4. How does it always end?
Yeah.
It doesn't consistently end well. And it's like, what do you want? Do you want FSU back, or do you want to be able to talk trash to your friends? And that's what I always tell fans. Unlike most fans and unlike most beat or reputables, you're going to always be able to Google James Coleman and realize that he's attached to Florida State. I can't just even if I cover somewhere else, you're going to always know who my alma mater is. They're going to always play ESPN Classic games. They're going to always be able to pick on me. I can take the ridicule for a couple years. I want my son to be able to go to Florida State. Right now, he's going to LSU if Coach O comes through that door. But I want him to be able to change that. And I also understand it's a long play. But if I also know this, if we don't get to 8 to 9 wins, then our 21 class is going to suck, and our 22 momentum is going to suck. And then next year, the schedule's favorable for you to get another 9 to 10 wins. So you can build on that momentum. If we're trying to wait and we don't go out there with a win now attitude, I'm telling you, LSU is there. They are not slowing down. They are getting better. And these guys quit. They will beat you by 75 if you give them the opportunity to. We have Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame and LSU on the schedule. We never stop playing Clemson. We'll never stop playing Miami. We'll never stop playing Florida. I'm already giving you, if we base everything what it is now and we don't make changes and we don't win right away, that's 5 losses on your before we even look at if anybody else is peaking. Because we're always going to eventually have NC State is going to always every 3 years, 3 or 4 years, they're going to have one of the best NC State teams they've ever had. Wake Forest every few years gets really, really good. Everybody hits puberty, and all the smart kids hit puberty and maturity at the same time. This is why you have to win right away.
Lay off the smart kids. Hold on. All right.
No, I'm saying no joke. UNC is going to be on the schedule, and they're going to have Sam Howell, who I don't necessarily think. I like what Sam Howell was able to do, and I respect it. And part of it's also probably feeling a little scorned or spurned because of what he did to us. But I like more of what Mac Brown and those guys are doing with recruiting pieces around him, with the offensive line, the defensive line, and skill players. They're going to be on the schedule eventually, and they're going to be much more improved. So you got to put the best pieces out there to get you with the understanding that you're not beating Clemson. So you're not winning the ACC. So what gets us, it's like shuffleboard or something like that. It's like what gets us to where we're in position to score the most points in the long run. And I think that's what it is.
I'm going to keep it simple real quick. My take, James Blackman will be the starter. I'm going to do 250 push-ups if he isn't.
Okay.
Again, 250 live on here. 250 live, I'm going to do them. Not straight, but we're going to do 250 before the stream's over.
In a whole hour.
In that whole hour, 250, guaranteed. Willie Taggart's offense, Walt Bell, Kendall Brow's offense, and then you're going back to a pro style, which James Blackman came to FSU for. There's that. James Blackman was coached by Jimbo Fisher, who Jason hates, that year where it was a complete crapshoot, and Jimbo was not coaching James Blackman. He was worried about how much money he was going to get from Texas A&M. And then we looked through the offensive line play that he's had. Taking Hornibrook and bringing him in and completely screwing up that whole mess with the left-handed quarterback. James Blackman will be the quarterback in Atlanta, and that's all I've got to say.
Listen,
easy money.
You two have defamed smart people and left-handers in the last 2 comments, so I'm a little bit hurt.
It's easy money. And Jordan Travis, the thing with him, from the inside, there's something about him that he just can't learn the playbook. That was something we heard really early on. He has a rough time. But it might be different under Dillingham and Norvell, but that's been a problem. He has great vision. I wish he could be utilized some way because he has good eyes. I wish he was a little bit better. He could be a running back, but I don't see that happening. If James Blackman's there, he'll be in Atlanta.
I'm willing to give Jordan Travis a little bit of a pass, though, because remember, there was the whole debacle last year with, is he going to be eligible? Is he going to get the waiver? Is he going to be able to play? There was that whole, what the hell is going on here with that situation? So I'm willing to give him a pass for last year. What's really frustrating, when we've talked about who's been hurt by this pandemic, is someone like him, because he could have gone out in the spring and been gangbusters and just looked amazing, throwing the ball and shown his growth right there, but we don't know that. Now we're going to have to wait until the fall, which is basically going to be a spring and fall. Let's all try to get it out of the way at one time, and it's not going to be true. It's not going to be a true fall practice. We're not going to truly see what we could have seen over the course of the off season. So it's going to be the questions. That's why there's so many questions right now at this point with that quarterback position.
Yeah, and then also it's a weird time. Obviously, we're in quarantine and pandemic and everything, but Tate Rodemaker hasn't had a lot of time. I know for some reason, it's just the first start of spring practice, and everybody says something. If someone just throws 5 straight completions, and there's rumors that he's just going to beat out everybody. That's how any freaking program goes. And if you're on the beat, if you're not on the beat, there's just all kinds of rumors. But Rodemaker, I mean, now it's on pace. Chubba Purdy gets to come in, and now Rodemaker got to early enroll a little bit, but the best thing he probably could do is put his head in the playbook, which probably Purdy's already had for a couple months now anyways. But Purdy gets to catch up to Rodemaker, and it's a race to try to catch up to James Blackman, because it's not even close right now. The experience that number one has in front of them is not even close. And if you're going to go to Atlanta in a neutral site game, I don't know if there'll be fans or whatever, you're going to have your most experienced guy there, and it seemed like they're already focusing on that. Blackman's gaining weight. Just got to figure out your offensive line play. He's got threats around him at wide receiver and even young guys coming in. You got depth at running back. Don't be silly. I mean, I don't think Dillingham is going to be silly.
I want to.
That's my.
I'm sorry. I want to just quick. One of the viewers wrote there where he talks about forget Jason. If a freshman quarterback shines, then he should start. I'm not arguing that for a second. If Chuba Purdy or Tate Rodemaker come into Tallahassee this fall and play better, genuinely play better than both James Blackman and Jordan Travis, absolutely 100%, I will be behind them starting. I don't think it's going to happen, but if that does happen in a weird world, then I would support it 100%. My problem is the notion from a decent amount of the fan base, and I think James hit the nail on the head, the video game fan base, who thinks it's so easy, you can just go in straight from high school to there. You're telling me that Chuba Purdy played the same talent in Arizona as Clemson, as Florida, as Miami, as in the 2022 and 2023 season when he's going to play LSU, as in 2021 when they play Notre Dame to open the season on Labor Day night. You're mean to tell me Tate Rodemaker has faced that same talent when he was at Valdosta High School as he's going to face against Clemson, Florida, West Virginia, at Boise State? No, you can't compare that. Give me James Blackman, who, yes, has lost twice to Clemson, but has played Clemson, has split his record against Florida, but has still beaten Florida at least one time in Gainesville, has played Miami, has played NC State, has played these guys. I want that experience, and I want to give him that chance in 2020 because right now he is the best option. If this was September 5th, the best option would be James Blackman. And there's some fans who won't admit that, but it needs to be admitted. He is the best option Florida State has to win right now.
And I want to address something because you just did like somebody put up there, like, yes, Boise came in and beat Florida State with a true freshman quarterback. And again, it just, I don't know if people watch these games like in real life or like if you just like, or if you didn't listen to what I said. The formula to having a true freshman quarterback is have your defense play stellar. Boise blanked FSU in the second half. Have a good running game. Boise's running backs were running through our defense, a good running game. So all those are good formulas to have some success. And then when they went into their conference, their confidence, they're one of the better teams. I'll give them that. Much better coached team as well than Florida State. If those young men come in and truly beat out, that they deserve everything that they get. They deserve all this stuff, and I will support them, and they'll go, heck, I'll go buy a jersey for them. The reality is this, though, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. I saw this. I went to the spring game, and spring practices, and I saw the quarterbacks, and I did not see anything that led me to believe that somebody would beat out Blackman. I would love for that to happen, and I have no problems with that happening, but it's just something, if you want the long-term development, let these young men sit, learn, and develop, like, and see how to be a athlete, man. Like, again, I played as a true freshman. I don't know what else to tell you. It's not what you think, man. And most of the time, I'm not saying that it can't happen. I'm not saying that they haven't happened. I'm saying if you look at traditionally across the board, every time that a true freshman has started, not the one-offs, but like across the board, it doesn't end up working well at the end of it. And I'm about Florida State being back to dynasty era times. And the reality is they're not winning a national championship this year. So, but win as many games as you can, so that you could get yourself in a position to have something, I guess, because everybody believes that you got to wait till you play games to have something to sell, even though nobody else does that. Everybody else seems to be recruiting, but at least let us have something to sell. And then you come in and you create the quarterback competition. But I do like what I see with Purdy. I like Tate. I think Purdy is better than Tate. And I think Purdy having a brother who's been a starter for a few years at Iowa State also helps him as well.
I
Good
just want
stuff
to
from the crew here. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. We talk Florida State with these gentlemen each and every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. That means Jason Parker, James Coleman, Big Game James, and Logan Robinson. Anything else we want to hit on, Jason?
I got a quick question. Where are all the Miami fans? Where are all the Florida fans? Where's SEC Dog? I mean, all these.
Anybody else is called?
I mean, all they do is they want to rip on us. But here's your chance to rip on us. But you don't have the courage to dial 860-325-3687 and call and give it to us straight. You don't have that courage. I guess FIU, Duke, and Louisiana Tech took your courage. I guess LSU and Georgia took your courage. I guess Alabama and LSU took your courage. Georgia, what happened?
Cheers to that.
Wow.
Let me pour up real quick. Give me a second.
Stop it. We're mad. Just disappointed.
Sorry about that. Let me get some of my beach drink here. This is my beach drink from Sunday. I had a good time. Friend passed his medical exam, so I didn't know how we got home, but we got home and still got a little bit left too. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are. As soon as we announced that we had a call-in show coming up, we heard all sorts of all sorts of comments in the chat.
Dennis Wilson, who has a youth game as his
Oh yeah, Dennis is always in here talking bad stuff about
the Niner fans. Yeah, all Niner fans. It's all about the U. I guess I wonder where they all went.
I must have disappeared. I don't know. We were over here kind of speaking some facts there. We had a good run there, and I guess it kind of got.
We've poked the bear.
Well, there's one.
There we go. TV, the voice of college football on our Florida State Seminoles show. Hello, who's on the line?
Mark Rogers.
Yes, sir.
Mr. G14 classified.
All right, man. How you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. I love the show. I love what y'all doing. I'm a subscriber to all channels, and I just want to know that I just want to ask if James Blackman was recruited to be in a pro-style offense, shouldn't he flourish a little bit after being thrown in the fire that first year?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, he that's the thing. In his first year under Jimbo Fisher, that's a tough situation because DeAndre Francois obviously got smacked in the Alabama game, so Blackman was thrown into it. The even worse situation, I think, is Jimbo Fisher. He's a great quarterbacks coach. We know that's where he's really respected, but his foot or both of them might have already been out of the door by the time the NC State game was around. He was already in talks with Texas A&M and trying to figure out his money and what was best for his family. But yeah, James Blackman was thrown into some crappy stuff, and then he goes through the Taggart staff, which I think we now can understand there's a lot of bad things that was going on there. And then this last season in particular, throwing Hornibrook in there, I think it lost a lot of his mental state. And now during this offseason, I think Dillingham has said it publicly, a lot of things that we got to work with him is getting his head straight and maybe figuring out some of those things and maybe being coached on the little things a little bit more. And so I think there's a lot of positivity and a lot of optimism for Blackman heading into summer practice and heading into the fall.
I also think that Jimbo puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback to win the game. Even when you go back and you look at what DeAndre Francois was able to do as a redshirt freshman in that Orange Bowl, I remember I counted, it was 22 plays where we did not run the ball with Dalvin Cook. Well, Dalvin Cook was clearly the best player on your team. You literally put the balls in the hand, but he had to win it with the quarterback, and that's when you saw Michigan start to mount a comeback. And then when it was time to get back, that's when we went back to running the ball. But when I look at what James went through with that, he didn't have a spring. He literally came in the summertime, and he didn't take a snap with the ones. He was supposed to be the guy that was going to redshirt with the boy who ended up going to North Carolina State, kind of being that maybe quarterback if something happened with DeAndre Francois. But then DeAndre Francois, went down, and then it was like, okay, wait a minute. Who gives us a threat? And again, you got to be able to throw the ball down the field. That's what at least make the defense respect you. And that was one of James Blackman's trademarks. Even as skinny as he is, the man has a live arm. So there's that. Then you go to 2 years of a completely different system. That was it. That was that. And Norvell runs a hybrid. It's really there's aspects of all of it. But if I were to say anything, it would be more of a pro style. You probably could see a flourish. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback, though. The big time players make big time plays in big games. And if Tamara Terry is to be a top 10 wide receiver, he's got to show that he's a top 10 receiver in every game. You have Jordan Travis. It's time for him to wake up. Not Jordan Travis, excuse me. Jordan Young. It's time for him to show up. We got guys writing articles about the Warren Thompson when he had maybe like he's an NFL caliber guy when he's only had 11 catches. But okay, that's cool. Like if we believe that, then and that's the part that makes me like want to pull my hair out when it comes to FSU fans. We say how bad William Jerome Taggart was. Gotcha, no doubt. But we also know how close William Jerome Taggart was to doing things. We have a better coach. We got guys in the beat who will write all these articles and this drama and all these things and how bad everything is, and now everything's on the up and up, and we got all this NFL talent, but are afraid to go out on a limb and say that this should be an 8-win team. The reality is this: is you can't have it both ways. You have to really look at it for what it is, and no matter what, whoever the quarterback is, you got to be able to say that. He's 5 now, right, Logan? Yeah. So Tamara Terry's got to be that guy to that either at least commands a double team to where the other guys get open and they are able to flourish, or whatever. And DJ Matthews, it's time for DJ, who's one of my favorite. I know everybody hates DJ for whatever reason, but I'm a Duval guy, so I gotta love DJ. But DJ can make you those clutch catches, those big across the middle catches, like he weighs 200 pounds. But you got to have your vets and your Terry and your DJ be able to rise to the level so that you can have a Jordan Young, a Warren Thompson, a Keyshawn Hilton. Some of these guys do whatever, and when they get the ball, they can't be like Keith Gavin. You can't have a ball that's thrown to you and you drop it when your number's called. And I think those are things that we'll see once they get back and they're able to compete. Hopefully, losing football has made them hungry enough to actually go out there and just play and stop crying.
I will say this one thing. James Blackman, if he is the starter, which we all seem to be in agreement that he will be the starter for the West Virginia game, he has to come out and just balls on fire for that West Virginia game and over the course of his time as the starting quarterback, because he's a guy who went from 2017, it was you're a true freshman, you're 18 years old, you're barely out of high school from Belgrades down here, and you're, we're going to give you a pass. You went 7-5 as a starting quarterback. You led us to a bowl game. We were able to keep the streak alive even after Jimbo bailed on us, and you were able to do that. We remember the 2018 season when Francois was starting, people were screaming for James Blackman. People still loved him because he threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns against NC State, forgetting the fact that we lost that game by 19 points. It was still, man, look what James Blackman did. Look what James Blackman did. And it literally did a 180 last season where people could not stand him because of the early loss to Boise State, because of the loss to Virginia. He got blamed for it. I was one of those writers who was blaming him, saying, it's not so much on Willie Taggart, it's what James Blackman was not doing in the second half. I will 100% admit that. He needs to come out against West Virginia, against Samford, against Boise State, those first 3 games. If he can come out balls on fire and play like the rock star that we know he is capable of, then I think he'll be fine. If he comes out and plays like he did against Boise State in the opener last year in that first game against West Virginia, things will become it'll be a crap storm very quickly.
And the thing with James Blackman, just real quick, he never was really supposed to be your Florida State starter whenever he came to FSU. Malik Henry was going to be the next Jameis Winston, if not better. He could run, he could do it all. And then DeAndre Johnson, DeAndre Francois. I mean, he never was. So, yes, like caller asked, was he put into a terrible situation? Oh, my God, most certainly, yes. So, but right now, this is James Blackman. He has the most experience, and he is going to be the starter in Atlanta, hopefully, if we have a game in Atlanta.
Right. I gotta go, Mark. I got another thing that I gotta be on, man. Appreciate you guys having me on and let me hang out with y'all.
Absolutely.
See you, James. Be good, man.
All right.
Yeah, just concerning James Blackman, I was just about to say, can there be a worse situation as a true freshman to have to step on the field against the best team in the country, down by whatever it was at the time, 10 or 17 points, thrown into a game right out of the gate. Game one, bam.
No, I was there for that, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa! I can hardly see the guy. He's about that big, and I think everybody on the in Atlanta on the metro heading back to the hotels, we were looking them up. Everybody was looking them up and stuff, and they're all on their phone looking at the picture of him and wearing his high school uniform and his pictures that he did with his photo shoot, and they're like, oh my God, we have a long season ahead. Then the hurricane came, so then it bounced back. It was just it's a complete crapshoot, and Jason gets his. You get a lot of credit here because he was out. Jimbo Fisher was out that season. He was ready to bounce. I think the Alabama game told him if he would have beat Alabama, he might have fought the offer a little bit from Texas A&M, but it was just too much money. But yeah, James Blackman wasn't supposed to be your starting quarterback. Malik Henry probably would have been gone. Let's see, what was he? 14. So
Denver was the 2015. But James Coleman has said this previous weeks, and I'm going to give somebody from the University of Miami credit. Michael Irvin has said this about UM for close to a decade now. And I've been saying this about Florida State. It's that complacency. It's the fact that you look at what Florida State did from 1987 to 2000. You look at that 2013 team, arguably the best college football team of all time, and you think, no, I'm just going to come to Florida State. We're going to win 10 games. It's going to be so easy. I'm going to come to Miami. I'm going to win 10 games. It's happened every other year. We'll just come in, we'll throw on the uniform, and it'll be just fine. Malik Henry was that way at quarterback. I'm sorry, Bailey Hockman was that way at quarterback. You had all these guys, and Jimbo just came in. That 2013 team was amazing. He said, you know what? I can do this. I can recruit these guys. They'll just come in. We'll get these 5 stars. And he didn't really recruit the guys he should. He didn't really recruit talent. He recruited rankings and whatnot, and that's the biggest problem. He didn't recruit guys who wanted to play at Florida State. He recruited guys who thought they should, that they were almost entitled. Oh, I was a 5-star in high school. Florida State should want me. No, just because you were a 5-star in Arizona doesn't mean you should be playing football at Florida State. That's just the facts.
We have any more callers? We haven't had really anybody that really wanted to say anything to us yet.
You know what? Here, I'm going to throw a gauntlet down right here to Luke Walker. Shout out to Luke Walker with the odd NC North Carolina basketball avatar, but you know what? We'll let it go. Good Power Heels there on that one. I'm calling out Cam Underwood. I want some of Cam Underwood. Cam Underwood talks a lot of smack. He talks a lot of smack about UM. I like the guy personally, even though he went to Cranbrook. That's a private school, but whatever. That's fine. He graduated from UM. There's so few of them who actually go there, so I'm going to give him credit. I'm calling out Cam Underwood. I'm going to do a Miami-Florida State quarantine show.
I don't see the number down.
We'll try to put it together. We're going to give everyone one more shot at this here. 860-325-3687. Unfortunately, I can't put the comments and the number on the screen at the same time, but there it is.
Cam Underwood doesn't want this smoke.
One more shot, 860-325-3687. Did we not? I guess we didn't put together an FSU Miami show last week.
We did.
We did.
Not?
Am I forgetting? Okay.
No, for the FSU versus Miami game, but I guess, Jason, there's too much agreement going on. I had to kind of step in there a little bit and get some arguments going on.
You've backed Jimbo twice. I've never been prouder of you than those two moments.
No, it's me. You want to know why? You want to know why?
It's fine. But you bashed him twice. I've never been prouder of you on those. You guys agree with me on the quarterback. I don't know if it's the tie. If that's the case, I will dress up more often.
How do I not remember this?
What's that?
We did with Cam Underwood?
We had a Cam Underwood. We did a 2-hour show previewing the Florida State Miami game in November.
I remember preparing for it. I remember that we talked about doing it, but I have no recollection of this show.
We did a 2-hour special, and I've got a sports bar down here that will feed us, drink, provide us with food and beverage. If we will do their show from there, that they will do it for us and cover us. But you guys can stay up there and connect in Tallahassee.
I'm down for that. I mean, we would go
plane ticket.
Go for it.
It's a pretty cheap plane ticket. I made it down to Orlando for like $150. It wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah, rent a car.
All right. Hey, it's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Of course, this is Florida State Live with Logan and Jason. Who's on the line?
Hi, my name's Bill.
Bill.
Is Bill team?
Bill, who do you root for?
Florida State. I grew up just outside of Tallahassee years ago.
Excellent. What do you have for us tonight? We appreciate the call.
Well, I live in Texas now, so I watch you guys all the time. You're my lifeline to keep up with everything.
Awesome. You and Jimbo in Texas there together.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I see the A&M fans, and I tell them, hey, thanks for taking that guy off our hands.
Thank you.
That's Jason's favorite guy is Jimbo. That's Jason's favorite coach ever.
He abandoned us.
Comment for us tonight.
Yeah, actually, Jason, I'm retired Coast Guard. I used to be stationed down in Miami. And I remember listening to, I think it was WQAM.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, WQAM. It's our sports radio station down here. It's broadcast the game.
And I remember driving in one day, and I was listening to, I think it was Joe Rose.
Yep.
And he was talking about the rivalry, the Miami, Florida State, you know. And he says, any callers call in, is there anyone who was a Florida fan who did not go to Florida?
I know at least a few myself, personally. I do.
It's a different world.
You seem to think there's more of a respectable rivalry between UM and Florida State than there is with Florida.
Well, based on what I know, I would agree with that. Based on what I hear from Florida State people and Miami people, that even though there's a healthy hatred, there's more respect there. From the Miami perspective, they believe that Florida has dodged them for years and years and years, and they don't respect them.
Yes, I agree with that too. You know, having watched this for 50 plus years, and just to let you know, my favorite saying I picked up down in Miami was you can't spell scum without UM.
You can't. You also can't spell guilty without the U. You can't spell. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can't spell without the U.
Miami.
Bill, we appreciate you calling in. Thank you for listening, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks for calling.
See you guys next week. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
No, yeah, he hit the nail on the head. And Logan and I, we've debated this before. I think Logan dislikes Miami a little bit more than Florida. I hate Florida outright and wish the city of Gainesville would fall into a sinkhole. Miami is just like, eh. But Bill hit the nail on the head. The difference between the two, and say this as an FSU alum, is that Florida fans literally think that the University of Florida is the greatest thing in the world. They think they're the Harvard of the South, the Stanford of the East. You're a public university in the state of Florida. Miami fans, and I say this as somebody who grew up in this area, I grew up wanting to go to Florida State. I'm a Florida State football fan, and I want to go to Florida State. Most Florida fans are, I'm a Florida fan, and I want to go to the University of Florida. Miami is a different animal because it's an extremely expensive private school. For most people, you can't afford the University of Miami. I couldn't. I got accepted there. I got scholarship money. I still would have been in serious debt had I decided to attend the University of Miami. So for a lot of fans, I root for the University of Miami, but I know I'm going to go to FIU. I know I'm going to go to FAU. I know I'm going to go to Florida State or Florida because it's the sheer economics of it. So that's why there's a huge difference between the different fan bases. Florida fans are the most snobs. They're snobs. There's no way to put that. You're a public school, but you think you're a private school. Miami fans, my ex-wife didn't know a damn thing about UM football, and she was a University of Miami graduate. She didn't know who the starting quarterback was. She didn't know who they were playing on a given week, and didn't really care because for a lot of the students, I'm coming down from the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic region, because I want to go to school in Miami. I want to go to college in Miami, Florida. I want to spend my weekends on Miami Beach. I want to spend my nights in Coconut Grove. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. I want to go to school in Miami. I don't give a damn about the football team.
Maybe we should also ask the chat too. Who do you hate more, Miami or Florida?
Florida.
Maybe the chat. Maybe the chat will be able to tell us. I just can't deal with Miami fans. I just can't do it that much.
Well,
I think it's more, and I think it's more hungry. I think it's a nastier game we're talking just field play than anything. I think a lot of former Knowles have said it too. There's a lot more trash talk, just probably because a lot of them grew up together in high school, middle school, and then you get a little bit older and you get bigger and you just want to go just hurt somebody. And you might say a few things. They might say the name of your mom. They might say a name of your sister, something just because they know you. So it's a little bit nastier. But I just can't stand Miami that much. And I think, I don't know, because there's been streaks of 5 years Florida where Florida State's been on a streak beating them, and then the Miami years was 7. But I don't know what it is, but I just can't stand Miami. I think even if I were to, I haven't even gone to a Miami game. I've been to Gainesville, but it doesn't really count because that was 2013, and that's when Kelvin Benjamin whipped the flying F out of their defensive back. I don't even think they had a secondary during that game. I don't know if there's any Gator fans in here. If they can let us know if they had a secondary during that game. I don't think Kelvin Benjamin really had one.
No, they didn't.
Okay, just making sure. And actually, Kelvin Benjamin actually has done a few things to Miami too. I got a little video that we can share of him just blowing kids down to the ground, 10-yard block easily. But yeah.
I'll say this, Logan. You also grew up in Tallahassee, so you probably grew up around more Gator fans, more Gator alumni than Miami fans or Miami alumni in that area. When you're from South Florida, there's more, obviously, Miami fans, more Miami. So you're closer, you have more friends who maybe went there or rooted for them. So there's a little bit more of a, you don't dislike them as much because you've got friends you're close to. And so I feel like there's that right there. And also I feel like when you look at history, Florida State was the only one. Florida State was the only school that came into South Florida when South Florida recruits were big time and were taking multiple players from Dade County, Broward County, Palm Beach County, from the University of Miami. You look, even Florida would only be able to take 1 or 2. Michigan would take 1. Ohio State would take 1, if anything like that. And Florida State was taking handful after handful after handful. And it would piss off Miami fans to see a guy like Marvin Jones, arguably one of the best linebackers in college football history, was a guy from Miami Northwestern. Dalvin Cook was a guy from Miami Central. Devontae Freeman was a guy from Miami Central. All these guys were from South Florida and were doing things up at Florida State. So I feel like there's a lot of that. That's where that mutual respect comes from.
And I might hate Miami more, and I got to let this be known because we got a lot more Miami people coming in here right now. But I might hate Miami more because there's not a lot of attractive girls coming from Miami as there is in Florida. There's a lot more Florida girls. They're a little bit smarter too, so that's probably just me, and I had to add that on there too. I'm just saying, I haven't really seen any cuties come up to Tallahassee for a few games. I haven't really ever had any interest in going down to Miami. But
number one, and I say this with the caveat that my ex-wife is a UM grad, so this shows you how I'm going to disagree with you on this one. UM women are more attractive than UF women. They are smarter than UF women. They're just more expensive to be around. They're more expensive to date. They are more expensive to marry, and more expensive to divorce. But still,
do I have to wear a band when I go meet them in a private location?
No, you have to be willing to pay. You have to be willing to pay $20 for a single drink in Coconut Grove or on Miami Beach. You have to drive a certain car. You have to do. There's a certain lifestyle that you have to live with if you're going to date a UM princess. UF girls are a small step above white trash, I would say.
We'll agree to disagree on that one.
Well,
and then whenever we do come down here for the show and we film it, I hope that you get to show me these women.
You might want to save all your checks for like about a month, 2 months or so.
I better save up for the yacht, huh?
Yeah, you'll be good.
Jeez Louise.
Survivor here has called me dummy and moron. Well, Matrix, see, he was just going crazy in the live chat the other night because he's put off quite a bit because I cover, according to him, only Florida State, Miami, and Ohio State, because those are our 3 live streams. If he would open his eyes and look at the content that we provide, we cover as much of college football as we possibly can across the board. I am one person.
I've seen you do a Florida one. I've seen you do a Notre Dame one. I've seen you do a Georgia one. I've seen you do a UCLA one. Didn't you do a UCLA?
In the last week, we've talked UCLA. We've done the top 5 quarterbacks in the SEC and running backs in the Pac-12, and we've been all over the place. I'm one guy. I can't cover everything at all times.
Can we get him a new avatar down there? I feel like I'm in a scary movie already. That dude has more lipstick on than what Jason had back in his day with the girls he was with.
Okay, I would love to kick it around all night, and I certainly enjoyed the discourse about Florida women between you two. That was
easy.
I didn't do. I cut straight to the Matrix Survivor comment, but that was phenomenal, and it would be great, as Logan mentions, to get a firsthand sampling of that to see if it's true.
Florida State women are perfect. Miami women are princesses. Florida women are white trash. So that's why Logan will end up dating a Florida. So.
Oh, wow. Dang. After my Matrix comment, that was my bad. Well, I thought I was actually just trying to talk more smack because I don't usually do it, but we have so many people that come in here and say all this mess, and they're not calling us. At least one of them has to call us.
And I would love to kick it around all night, but the worldwide leader in Korean baseball all night calls.
Ooh, Korean baseball.
Yes.
Go NC.
Wow.
Go NC Dinos. That's going to be my squad.
1 year in the books, boys. Great job.
Year 2 starts next week.
Mr. Perfect.
Yes.
Jason
he did.
Mr. Nearly Perfect, Logan Robinson.
Nearly. Close enough. But
we'll round it up.
We enjoyed it. It was a good year.
Absolutely. It was good time. Good time.
We had the ups and downs, mainly down. We hung in there.
Let's do another year of it, guys.
Let's do it. All right, boys. I appreciate it. You guys are the best. Couldn't do it without you.
Thank you, Mark.
See everybody next Tuesday, 7 o'clock Eastern time. I'm actually fitting in my vacation between Thursday and Monday. I'll be back with these two next Tuesday night.
Because he won't let us do it on our own now.
He doesn't trust us. I don't blame him.
No.